welcome to another walkthrough on how to install Comfyui if you have a RTX 50 series Blackwell GPU, be it RTX 5070, 5080, 5070 Ti or 5090. So I've previously uploaded one of the methods to install Comfyui using the prepackage method, where you just simply unzip and run the program and you should have no issues with it, at least on the basic level, because the prepackage comes pre-installed with the correct PyTorch version, which is 2.6 or 2.7 for CUDA 12.8. So you may wish to check out my previous video with the link on the screen right now if you want to get it installed quick and easy. There I'll explain more on the details of the incompatibilities of the Blackwell GPU if you are using an older version of Comfyui. This video still addresses the infamous CUDA error, no kernel image error, but in a different method. So I shall deem this method 2, and this method is the manual install method, which shows you how to step-by-step install all the required dependencies and programs needed to set up your Comfyui to run on your 50 series GPU. You want to do that when you have a simple install method. Well, simple is not always the best because you have no idea what's going on under the hood. And it will be bad when you encounter more errors in the future if you play around with more and more AI toys like maybe 1.2.1 and Hunyuan, because those would most likely give you a lot more errors, and if you don't understand what's happening under the hood, you're going to have a lot of trouble trying to figure out those error codes. To do this, you need to touch a bit on Python, GIT, and to be familiar with basic coding terms, but not actually doing any codings per se. Things will include such as creating a virtual environment to install your dependencies as well. If you are really afraid of doing that, I suggest you stick to my walkthrough using the prepackage method instead, the link previously attached. So take note that I have no coding background and I won't be able to guide you in a professional way, as I'll just be sharing how I do it. So let's get started. First, you need to check your systems to see if you are indeed using a 50 series GPU and running on CUDA 12.8, which is critical for everything to work. Go to the search bar and type CMD followed by NVIDIA-SMI. Press enter and check that you indeed have RTX 50 series and the CUDA version 12.8. If not, you can follow my previous video where I drop a link to where to actually download the CUDA toolkit 12.8. Once that is done, go to the main Comfyui page to stand by, not to do anything first, because first of all, I will drop the link of the main Comfyui page as well here for this video. But before we actually do anything at the main Comfyui page, this is where you will get all the codes required to start your installation. But before we actually do that, you need to install the correct Python and GIT. So you can scroll all the way down to the manual install for Windows and Linux, and you will see that Comfyui recommends installing Python 3.12. Although you can actually try 3.13 as well. What I know is most programs should work with Python 3.13, although I do hear that there are some conflicts here and there, but I'm not exploring that part at this moment. So for this video, I will just install 3.12 instead. So go to Google and search for Python 3.12. Click the first result and you will land on the page where you can download the Windows installer for your Windows. For my Windows version, it will be 64-bit. Most Windows should be 64-bit, but there is no harm in checking your own system first before installing. Run the installer and click default for most of the settings. I can't install it again since I already have a version on my PC. But most of it should be roughly the same, and just set it to default and continue to press next, and you should be able to get it installed. But there is one important step that you have to make sure, which is at the installer, to check on the add Python to path. So this is important for your PC to know where to actually find your Python when doing all the installing. Especially when you're running installation for Comfyui, you will be using Python a lot, and you don't want to end up seeing things like Python not found, even though you have installed the Python already. Only when you add Python to path, then your PC will be able to recognize that it is using Python 3.12. This is a very common error done by people when they are doing installation for Python. So other than the adding Python to path, everything should be default, and you just click next all the way and you can install Python. So once Python is being installed, we will move on to install GIT. While Python is the programming language, GIT is actually the tool that helps you to download and unpack the dependencies required to run the program that reads the Python language. I hope that makes sense to you. So type GIT in Google and click the first link to install the latest version. So install it as per any other program and click default settings for all. Unlike the Python, there is no set Python to path for GIT. You just click all the way and you can actually install it. I won't be showing the part on the installation of GIT since I already have it in my PC as well. Once Python and GIT are installed, you might want to check if you've done the right actions by typing at the bottom search bar for the CMD, then type in where Python. You just need to type where Python and press enter, and you'll be able to see if your PC recognizes that Python is indeed in the system. If it's not, you will just say Python not found, and you will need to do some rectification on it. But if you were to see that it can find Python, the next that you can do is actually check for more details. You can actually type Python -- version to see if it is running on Python 3.12. If it is, then you're good to go. Next, if you want to check on the GIT version, you can actually type git -- version to see if it recognizes that GIT is installed on your PC as well. Once you have that, then you're all set to begin installing. Go back to the main Comfyui page just now and scroll down all the way to the manual install for Windows and Linux. There are actually clear instructions for this, and you can just follow that all the way, and it should get you to do the right things to get it installed. But now you can proceed to git clone this repository as per the instructions in the Comfyui page. So what does git clone means? Just now you have already installed git. So you are now able to use the command of git inside your CMD or your command prompt. Scroll it back up. Here you can actually see the code. Copy the code and proceed to the folder where you wish to install Comfyui. You can just create a folder with any name, and this is the place that you want to install your Comfyui. Then you will just go to the address bar and type in cmd. So this means that you wish to enter a command in this folder. That's one way. Alternatively, you can also use from any command prompt window. Example, if you were to go down the search bar and type cmd, you can actually type cd, which is change directory, to the address that you wish to copy your Comfyui. Then you will still end up at the same location for you to begin cloning. So next is you type in git clone and paste the code from Comfyui, and it will create a set of files needed to run Comfyui in the exact folder that you wish to put it. Once it is done, you can check that the folder is now populated with the directory of files that weren't there earlier. If you can type dir and press enter, you will see the files reflected in the command prompt, which is about 21, or rather exactly 21 files as of late March 2025. I won't be going through each and every file since that's not the point of this video. So now we shall move on to the toughest part of the walkthrough, which is to create a virtual environment and installing PyTorch for CUDA 12.8. So first thing you got to do is to go to your main Comfyui folder and type in Python -m venv and press enter. So you will see a folder created called venv, which is the virtual environment that will appear with certain dependencies. This means that you have created an environment that works on its own and does not affect the rest of your PC. This is the safest way to mess things up without wiping your PC clean just because you made a mistake. You can install any dependencies in there and it will only work within that venv or virtual environment itself. But it still isn't enough to create an environment. After you created it, you will need to activate it for it to start working. So go back to the same folder and type venv/scripts/activate and press enter. Now you'll see an open bracket venv beside the Comfyui main folder to indicate that you are in the virtual environment and it's safe to install stuff in it. So time to install PyTorch, or specifically PyTorch 2.74 CUDA 12.8. Now we'll go back to the Comfyui page, scroll all the way down past the manual install for Windows and to the section talking about NVIDIA. Here it will give you the command for pip install torch vision torch audio. Take note that there are two lines, so do not copy the one showing CU126 as it is for CUDA 12.6, and your Blackwell GPU will not be able to work on it, and it will result in the infamous no kernel image error. So you should take the one that reflects nightly for CU128, which is CUDA 12.8. So this is the latest one, but it is not exactly the most stable release, which is why it's called nightly. But it works, so it's best to choose this when you're installing for your 50 series GPU. Paste the code in the activated virtual environment and let it do its thing. Your antivirus might want to check the files you install and it's fine, just let it do its thing. So be on the lookout for any potential weird commands such as error, critical, or unable to. These kind of keywords are usually words that spell trouble. But sometimes everything seems to still work even with these errors. So I guess I can still live with it until it starts being disruptive to my Comfyui workflow. Once PyTorch has been installed, the last and final part is to install the rest of the requirements that Comfyui needs to run. Copy the code pip install -r requirements.txt. Paste it back in the virtual environment and press enter to do the installation. So you should avoid closing the command window while in the middle of the steps, even if one part is done, because you should install these requirements and PyTorch in the virtual environment. If you close the windows halfway through, you need to go back a few steps to where I mentioned about the reactivating of the virtual environment before you can actually proceed with the rest of the steps. So do take note of that. If you were to close the window before you finish the whole installation, you cannot just paste the install PyTorch or install requirements without activating the virtual environment first. So this is something that you need to take note. I'm speeding the video up instead of cutting the installation part because you need to expect that there is quite a lot of waiting time, maybe about 5 to 10 minutes, and sometimes the screen seems to appear stuck. So don't get tricked by it and think the installation is over. And when all is done, you will see the familiar address for Comfyui hosting. Copy that link and paste it on your browser and it should be up and running. Similar to the prepackaged video, you need to load your checkpoints from Civic AI, blah blah blah. type in your prompt, queue it, and you will get your first image without error, or without no image, no kernel error. Now, to rerun Comfyui manually is quite a hassle, as you need to activate the virtual environment and run it through this file called main.py. Main.py is the one that actually activates the whole program of Comfyui. So if you double click it right now, without any prior activation, nothing is going to happen because it doesn't recognize any dependencies installed because the virtual environment is not activated. So it's quite a hassle to do it every time if you want to activate the virtual environment, then run the main.py. Instead, I'll just share a quick method to run a batch file to open Comfyui instead. First, you will create a new text file, name it whatever you like. For me, I use start to let myself know that I want to start the program. Then in that text file itself, you type in call venv/script/activate. Press enter. Python main.py. Press enter and type pause. By doing this, you create a command to activate the virtual environment here and immediately run the main.py file, and to pause if there are any activation errors instead of closing the command prompt, or rather the command window, so that you can actually see the errors clearly and resolve accordingly if there is any. So this is the use of the pause. Once that is done, you save the text file not as a text but as all files, and you end the file name with a .bat, which is a batch file that runs batch commands. For this case, will be activate the virtual environment and run Python main.py. Once all is done, you delete the text file with the command that you no longer need and just keep the new .bat file that you created. Once you double click it, everything should work as per normal from here. And there you have it. You've installed Comfyui manually for your RTX 50 series Blackwell GPU and perhaps learned a little bit more about Python, just enough to get by. As usual, always back up your files in case anything goes wrong. You may encounter weirder errors that you can share in my comments, but it's unlikely that I can help you with them since I'm a very inexperienced coder. I wouldn't even consider myself a coder per se. But perhaps someone else that views this video might be able to help. So in this case, you can consider a like, comment, and subscribe to try and boost this video so that it can be shared more actively to people that might face the same problem as the rest of us seeing this video. So I'll be moving on to videos that concentrate on installing custom nodes for Comfyui usage, such as Comfyui Manager, etc., which I'm still thinking about what to do next, and also testing if it works for the new RTX 50 series. So stay tuned for more if you're interested, and I'll see you when I see you.